Perfect people don't become doctors. Sometimes the people who've overcome the most challenge, who've made the most missteps, had the most failures, are actually some of the most compelling applicants for medical school every single year. That's because medical schools are actively looking for the characteristic called grit, or resilience, meaning the ability to come up against hardship and push through, persevere, learn something, overcome challenge time and time again. If you haven't been through challenge, if you haven't failed, if you didn't run into a roadblock or an obstacle or come up against the limits of your ability, how will you ever demonstrate grit? How will you ever demonstrate resilience? I feel like it's important to bring this up because so often the questions I get as a medical admission consultant have to do with, I made this mistake, I got this C, I had this gap in my education, how am I ever going to get into medical school? Or people will ask me, how will I get in even though this happened, is it possible? Do I still have a shot? That's the one that seems to be the most common this year, is like, do I even have a chance? I would argue that maybe the reason you're going to get in is because you have that misstep, that hiccup, that thing that you had to overcome. Because the lessons that we learn through failure are so powerful. And they may even be the most relatable, the most real, the most compelling when you talk about them on your personal statement, when you bring them up at interview. The challenges you've faced will be some of the most humanizing things, experiences from which you derive inspiration and how to connect with people on the worst days of their lives when they're your patients and you're their doctor. Perfectionism is more of a psychological symptom than it is a valid application strategy. So I encourage you to put it out of your mind to the extent possible. No matter where you're coming from, there is a way forward, and finding that winding path may be one of the most formative and impactful things you can do to become an especially compelling applicant on the med school application this year. You've got this.